Have Harley Davidson disappointed you in 2024? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Harley Davidson 2024, we're kind of February now. We're just approaching the riding season. Have they disappointed you so far this year? With the bikes that they've released or continue to sell from 2023 into 2024, and also this kind of emphasis on the CVO this year. This seems to be, yes, we're going to put all our eggs into the CVO and make sure you get a CVO Pan America, these rehashed CVOs from 2023, and obviously this CVO Road Glide ST, and also the Street Glide and the Road Glide, which is kind of the CVOs with just a smaller engine and a little bit less frills and fancy stuff, let's say. But are you kind of disappointed in what they're offering? And I'm not talking about prices here, because we could just keep on, plucking at the same string here in terms of prices. I'm kind of just talking about the bikes. The bikes, are they the kinds of things that you want? Now, of course, we've got to talk about price here as well, because if you can't afford these bikes, then they're not going to appeal to you. So therefore, you kind of think quite negatively about the bikes that they offer. And you think, well, do you know what? No, they're not for me. It's not even a company or a brand that I'm interested in, because, I can't afford to spend a mortgage on a bike. It's just ridiculous, right? Whereas if you do have the money, then that's not really an issue anymore. You're just going after the bike that you really like the look of, or that you think you should be buying based upon what bikes your friends ride, or what kind of impression you're trying to give. Okay, because there's always going to be an element of that as well. You're always going to try and outdo your neighbors, outdo your friends in some kind of regard, especially if you're a really high earner, right? So you're going to think, I want the best, whatever brand it is, whether it's motorcycles, whether it's phones, whether it's computers. I want the best of that brand. I want the best. I want the signature model. I want the best that they can offer. So you say, right, okay, I'll go for the CVOs. I'm going to put all my money into that. So fine. But it doesn't necessarily make it a good bike. Doesn't necessarily mean that the products that are coming out from a particular company are kind of well liked or even welcomed. The point is that Harley Davidson has been losing sales the last couple of years, and yeah, you could argue that many companies have been doing the same, certainly post-COVID and supply chain issues that happened a couple of years ago. But obviously lots of companies bounce back now. The question is the strategy of a company kind of failing to meet your expectations? Are they offering the kind of bikes that you want to buy? Are you willing to get rid of your 2022, 2023 bike or earlier and say, no, I'm going to trade all that in and get myself a brand new bike? Now, for some people, there might be a bit of value there. And you say, well, actually, I've only had my bike for a year, 2 years. I can trade that in. Maybe I didn't even buy it on a cash sale. I just bought it on a finance lease deal. Actually, all I'm doing is spending another $50 or $100, pounds, shekels a month, and I'll get a brand new bike. So the economics kind of work well, because you've got also a lot of value in what you're going to trade in as well. So I can see that for some people, actually, it isn't much of a drama. You've already spent the money, or you've already had the big motorcycle payment, so you've been riding around happily on your bike. Actually, all you're going to do is exactly the same. That's the beauty of these lease deals, right? These deals that you can get wherever you are in the world. You say, right, I can't afford to buy this outright, but I can make a monthly payment. And if I keep the bike for 2-3 years, a couple of years, then I could just hand it back. Okay, so we all know those deals are there, and that's what's kind of driven forward not only the motorcycle market, but also the general automotive market. People just buy, especially leisure vehicles or domestic vehicles, with these kinds of deals rather than cash purchases anymore. So my point is, there's always going to be a market for expensive motorcycles, let's say. People will find a way to buy them. But the question has always been, how many people will be buying them in the future, let's say. So we've seen in the last couple of years there has been a drop in sales. Overall, we're talking about. Some sales have gone up, some sales have gone down. But as a company, they've kind of lost a few sales. But the bikes that they're offering now for 2024, are they going to compound this issue? Are they going to drive people further and further away? I've already seen lots of quotes online, which you can't always believe, right? I get it. But lots of people saying, do you know what? Nah, I'm not having it. Actually, this was happening last year. In fact, I was kind of saying that myself. I was looking at a new bike for this year. I said, the prices that they're charging, I can't justify buying a new bike. And I was actually trying to make loads of videos saying, look, there's lots of value in the older bikes. A couple of years old, 3 or 4 or 5 years old. There's great value in those. Go and buy one of those. And that's kind of where I've landed, really. Now we're looking at 2024 bikes from not only Harley Davidson, but lots of manufacturers. You're saying, well, actually, where is the best buy? And I'm not sure the best buy is from Harley Davidson. I think the best buy is going to be from other brands. Now, it could be a BMW, it could be an Indian, it could be a Triumph, it could be a KTM, it could be any other brand, of course. But of course, if you're hell-bent on just buying a Harley Davidson, then that's what you want to buy, right? And if you're a fan of the brand, hey, you're not going to go and buy something else. So you can discount what other manufacturers are supplying because actually all your focus is on the brand or the bike or just the thought of owning that bike that you've always wanted to own, right? Or continue to own in that brand. But we know that fashion's changed, we know demographics change, and we know that the kinds of people riding Harley Davidsons has definitely changed over the years. Now, we've talked about working class motorcyclists and then upper class motorcyclists, in all walks of life, in all countries, and this has been happening lots and lots. It's not only got to do with class, but it's also got to do with just general wealth and the availability to spend, like any cash surplus that you have, or whether the financial mechanisms are there to enable you to buy these things, in terms of leasing, let's say. But the fact remains that companies like Harley Davidson can continue to raise their prices and charge you more money only for products that you want to buy. If you don't want to buy them, well, guess what? They're not going to sell. Why am I making a bit of a deal about this? Okay, if you look at the CVOs from 2023, there were lots of those bikes that didn't sell. If you look at other models within the Harley Davidson world, lots of those models didn't sell. I'm not even talking about the really expensive bikes. I'm talking about the Revolution Max, the Nightster, the Nightster Special, the Sportster S. They're not great sellers. If we look at the Pan America had a really big boost for a couple of years, but actually there wasn't a lot of retention of those motorcycles. In fact, lots were sent back, lots of problems of those bikes. The Pan America Standard, as it were, wasn't a big seller. It was a Pan America Special, which was the seller. Hence why I suppose the United States, they've done away with the Pan America Standard bike. They've just got the Special and obviously now this CVO. But are these the bikes that you're going to be interested to continue to buy and pay even greater prices, or continue with those high prices for the next few years? Well, I don't think there's any getting away from that, is there? I don't think that the prices are going to dramatically fall unless they start producing bikes that are aimed at the cheaper market, let's say, or those who really can't afford it. And they would argue, well, we've got the Nightster and we've got the Nightster Special. But many of those people don't like those bikes. That's the problem. They don't like those bikes. Well, they say, oh, we've got the Softail Standard, or we've got a couple of the other Softails that are a little bit lower in price. But we're not talking about sub £10,000 dollar shekel bikes. We're actually still talking 13, 14, 15,000. Okay, so that could still be much too much for a lot of people. So are Harley Davidson disappointing you in 2024? Not only with the bikes that they offer, but also the prices that they're charging, but also the kind of direction in which they're going. They're kind of going more towards the high end and less towards the everyman. You see what I'm doing here with my hands? It's going off in one direction and not for everybody. This is kind of how I feel. I've kind of been seeing this and talking about this for quite a few years now, and it certainly appears to me that this is essentially where they've gone for this year. And I'm not necessarily saying this is a terrible thing. All I'm saying is I've noted it. It's definitely noted by lots of people, not just me. And I wouldn't even be making much of a point about this if they brought out another bike in the Softails, or certainly with a Revolution Max engine, and say, no, this is another bike, let's say for the lower end, or a cheaper bike. This is where I'm at. If they'd said, look, these are the new bikes, but also we've got this new bike as well, I would have been like, okay. If they hadn't really talked about the CVOs, because let's face it, there's not much of a change from the 2023 to the 2024, and they'd only talked about the new Street Glide and Road Glide and also the CVO Road Glide ST, if they'd talked about those 3 bikes and maybe another bike in the Softails or the Revolution Max class, then I'd be like, okay, fine, we got a broad range of bikes, but they didn't. And this is where I feel there's a little bit of disappointment there. I feel there's a little bit of rah right now in terms of Harley Davidson because of these new bikes. Of course there is, and there's no problem there. But if I objectively look at it, there seems to be something missing here. There seems to be something where all of the Softails seem to have been kind of not talked about. We're not talking about those. We're talking about the CVOs. That's all we want you to think about. And we're going to keep on saying CVO, CVO, CVO until it's ingrained in your mind so that's the only bike that you can buy. That's the only bike that you should be aiming to buy. And I think that's a little bit disappointing from Harley Davidson. I think that's a little bit disappointing from any manufacturer who only try and push you towards the top of their line. I get it because that's where they want to sell most bikes and that's where the biggest profit margins are. But I think by doing that, you're changing your customer base. You're trying to change your customer base. And sometimes that works, and a lot of times it doesn't. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now.